Good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. I'm Disal Kapuke bringing you the news for News First, the voice of the people. Before we start with the news, let's first take a look at the headlines.
Sri Lanka is no longer a bankrupt country. President speaks of his plans to lead a defeated country to victory. The executive has no right to undermine the independence of the judiciary. A statement from the president of the BASL. Tenure of 340 local government bodies ends today. Tenure cannot be extended any further. One generator at the Norochole power plant malfunctions. Minister of Energy assures that there will be no power outages. Minor tremors reported in Kirinda and Trincomalee. Officials say no need to panic.
And now in your top story, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that just like the captain of Royal College who led the team to victory after several consecutive defeats, he too will lead Sri Lanka to victory. The president made this statement while addressing the 32nd Interact District Conference held at Temple Trees today.
Over 700 students attended the event organised by St. Thomas's College, Wesley College, Vishaka Vidyalaya and Girls High School, Kandy. Speaking at the event, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that his team has been successful in bringing stability to the country during the past 7 months.
For the Royal College, and especially his captain, it's another test. Having lost many matches, first, how do you prevent a defeat? And secondly, how do you win? So instead of looking at how to prevent a defeat, he decided to go for victory. And it was good leadership, I must commend him. And he turned a situation in which Royal was losing all matches into a victory in the final encounter. Now, I am also trying to do, my attempt is also to do what the captain of the Royal College cricket team has done. Last July, I was asked to take over the country. And at that time, as you know, there was a shortage of petrol, there was a shortage of fertilizer, there was a shortage of food, there was a shortage of everything. We had no money. We couldn't make our payments. The government had no money. It was a difficult task. It was like the Royal team which had lost most of the matches. And many thought that we won't be able to come out of it. So far, in the last 7 months or so, been able with my team to stabilize the situation. So like the captain of the Royal team, I also have to perform the same function. How do we turn this economy around?
President Ranil Wickremesinghe also spoke about the IMF assistance to Sri Lanka.
Now what we are doing at the moment and the results of the IMF board of directors only gives us a breathing space where they will say that we are no longer bankrupt and that we can restructure the debt. So all the monies that we had to pay this year, we will be given at least another, I hope, 10 years to repay it. In the meantime, there will be new debts. We have to borrow money because all our foreign exchange earnings for a year is not sufficient to meet all our needs of importing petroleum, of importing fertilizer. It's not enough. So we have what we call a balance of payment deficit, where our export earnings, our foreign earnings, are less than the money we have to spend for all our needs that we have to purchase or obtain from abroad. So this is the long term. Secondly, is how do we stabilize the rupee? The rupee has now gone up to over 300 and has been remain over 300, going up to 300 even 80, coming down. Once we have this agreement with the IMF, the rupee will come down, but it won't come down to 200 or 185. That has to happen gradually.
Speaking at a media briefing, SJB parliamentarian Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed these views on the IMF assistance to Sri Lanka.
මේ හිතනවා මේ IMF එක අස්සම් කළාට පස්සේ නිකන් ලංකාවේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ඔක්කොම විසඳෙයි කියලා.
If you think that all the problems in the country will end after the IMF agreement is signed, it is a lie. Do not believe that. We have to face the truth now. You cannot push the poor and working class of the country against the wall and hope to achieve anything. There were many discussions that were held with the World Bank, the IMF and the Asian Development Bank. But where is the social security plan? They speak highly about it, but where is your program? There is no program. Are they expecting people to die first and then eat? I'm also asking the World Bank, the IMF and the Asian Development Bank, where is the social security plan? They complained a lot about the current social security program in the country, but where is your new plan? What are you doing?
මොනවද කරන්නේ? දැන් ඔබතුමන්ලත් කරන්නේ ඕකම තමයිනේ.
තමුන්නාන්සලා දන්නවා රනිල්ගේ යහපාලන ආණ්ඩු කාලේ තමයි.
It was during the tenure of the government of good governance of Ranil Wickremesinghe that the root causes for this situation began. During those 4.5 years, $12.5 billion was raised from international sovereign bonds. We had to pay interest on these loans. Since independence, until that time, we had only taken a total of about $14 billion. They took loans of $12.5 billion within a span of 4 years. That is one of the main reasons for us to fall into this pit. Ranil, who was responsible for this, is now saying that after the IMF agreement, we will be eligible to apply for loans again, and we can ask for loans and get them. And then we can live happily until things go south again. Is this the answer that this country is looking for? Is this the answer that this country is hoping for? Members of the Portour come on television and promote this wrong answer. That is not the answer the people are asking for.
ලෙඩා මලත් බඩ සුද්දයි කියන උත්තරේ. ඒ උත්තරේ නෙවෙයි ඉල්ලන්නේ.
The chairman of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka said that the executive will not be allowed to undermine the independence of the judiciary.
President's Counsel Sali Pires expressed these views at a seminar organized by the Continuing Legal Education Committee of the Bar Association.
We can see several serious issues regarding the rule of law in the country. The main issue is the issue being created on the independence of the judiciary. The executive, instead of abiding by the orders issued by the judiciary, is attempting to pressurize the judges. We as a profession must stand against this. The executive cannot be allowed to meddle with the independence of the judiciary. When judges give decisions, the executive cannot be allowed to influence the judges in any way. If the executive does not abide by the decisions of the judiciary, how could we expect the general public to follow orders by the judiciary? The executive is setting a very bad example. I believe that we as professionals should stand against this in the coming months. We need to stand against the executive meddling with the affairs of the judiciary. We inform the executive not to meddle with the judiciary because even in the past, when the executive attempted to influence the judiciary, legal professionals successfully stood against it. We need strong legal professionals for that. All my actions are based on the strength provided by you. If I did not have your support, I don't think I will be able to speak up for the rule of law and the rights of the people of this country. Our responsibility as legal professionals is to be strong. All of us have that duty. We cannot allow the executive president to play with the independence of the judiciary. We have seen how the judiciary faced issues in the 70s and the 80s.
The Samagi Lawyers Association says that the executive has no moral right to influence the judiciary of the country.
Under the guise of saying that the privileges of the parliamentarians are being violated, they are trying to create an issue here and threaten and slander the judiciary. And this has affected the independence of the judiciary. There are no legal provisions to summon a justice of the Supreme Court over a judgment that he has delivered. There are only provisions to summon a justice of the Supreme Court through a motion of no confidence based on malpractices of the justice. Besides that, there is no legal right to summon a justice to the Privileges Committee in Parliament and question him on a judgment that he delivered. They are attempting to clear the path towards a dictatorship. This is temporary and the issue will aggravate in the future. They must hold the election immediately.
The opposition today stressed that the executive has no right to undermine the independence of the judiciary. Parliamentarian Lakshman Kirialla said the independence of the judiciary guaranteed through the 21st Amendment to the Constitution is now lost.
Although steps were taken through the 21st Amendment to the Constitution to bring some sort of independence to the judiciary and various other institutions, now they are trying to weaken that independence that was given to the judiciary by claiming that parliamentary privileges have been violated. These attempts to intimidate the Election Commission and the justices of the Supreme Court by bringing them to Parliament using parliamentary privileges are all victories of the 21st Amendment. They also use parliamentary privileges to attack the media. I believe that all of these will be examined when the United Nations Human Rights Council convenes in June.
Jathika Jana Balawegaya parliamentarian Vijitha Herath said, it is the duty of the executive to protect the independence of the judiciary.
It is the duty of both the executive and the legislature to protect the independence of the judiciary. Ranil Wickremesinghe is demeaning the independence of the Election Commission. They are demeaning the independence of the judiciary. Using henchmen like Dolavatta and Semasinghe, they are trying to impinge on the independence of the judiciary. This is wrong. This privilege issue raised by Dolavatta has been directed to the Privileges Committee, and the committee is to be convened at 10:30 am on the 23rd of this month. They are trying to intimidate the court. They are trying to intimidate justices and the judgments that they want. Meanwhile, the official term of 340 local government institutions will end at midnight today. Accordingly, the official term of 29 municipal councils, 38 urban councils and 275 Pradeshya Sabhas will end at midnight today. Thereafter, all administrative activities of these institutions will be handed over to special commissioners or secretaries. The official term of councillors began on the 10th of February 2018 following the local government election and is supposed to end on the 20th of March 2023. The Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha held a separate election and as a result, their official term began in October 2018. Although the official term of 340 local government institutions was supposed to end on the 20th of March last year, the minister in charge used his authority in order to extend the term by a year to end in 2023. Accordingly, the official term of 340 local government institutions will end this way at midnight today. The minister in charge will no longer have the authority to extend the term of the councillors of these institutions.
What are the legal provisions available to hand over local government institutions to commissioners?
In order to place the administrative power of the local government bodies under commissioners, the President must issue a special Gazette notification before midnight today. It is important to note that the Gazette notification should be issued based on emergency regulations. However, if the President does not issue the special Gazette notification of appointment before midnight today, the secretaries will take over the local government bodies that have expired their terms of office.
Although the official term of the local government institutions ends at midnight today, it was proposed in the meeting of the representatives of the SLPP local government bodies that met on the 17th that the currently functioning councils should be operated by public representatives. SLPP General Secretary Attorney Sagara Kariyavasan pointed out that he is ready to take legal action if necessary to accommodate the proposal. Can the existing councils be operated by public representatives as they were? The former chairman of the Election Commission expressed his opinion about it today.
The local government representatives are already in power for an additional year. They were only given 4 years by the public. They extended this year after the decision of the minister. If they stay longer, they don't have the people's mandate. There are legal decisions that clearly dictate that the extension of local government elections back in 2017 was against the Constitution. Then how can these councillors continue in office? There is a precedent that it is not suitable for officials to take over control of these institutions under the legal case SCFR 35/2016. Under any circumstance, it is not right for an election to be postponed. It is not suitable to continue administration of local government bodies under officials for a long period.
Professor Ratnajeevan Hool, a former member of the National Election Commission, also commented on the expiration of the term of the local government institutions.
Elections must be held in a democratic country. Public representatives must govern the country. Keeping chairmen without that is not democracy. The election must be held at once. The funds needed for an election must be provided immediately. The president shouldn't suspend councils without providing funds. This is not democracy. Extending the terms of councillors means they are operating with the old councillors. We don't know why Ranil Wickremesinghe is doing this. He is someone who understands democracy very well. A person as such committing a crime like this is appalling.
Can the government extend the term of the local government institutions? This is the stance of the election monitor Pafrel.
There is no way that the tenure of these councillors can be extended legally. There is also discussions on if the current chairman of local government bodies can be appointed as special commissioners. Under the ordinary law, the chairman and mayors cannot be appointed as special commissioners.
Chairman of the United National Party expressed these opinions regarding the expiration of the terms of the local government bodies.
It is not the first time in history that an election has been postponed. However, there are certain situations regarding which we can't make any comments. There is a court process ongoing. We have to see what the decision of the court is.
මැතිවරණ කල්යෑම සිදුවන්නේ ඒ ගැනත් ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් තිබෙනවා.
There are a few issues. There are several court decisions about it in history. They will have to be reconciled after the current cases are over.
වර්තමානයේ තියෙන නඩු අවසන් වුණෙන් පස්සේ.
Professor G.L. Piri, speaking at a meeting of local government candidates of the People's Freedom Alliance in Kurunagala, expressed these views on the tenure of local government institutions ending today.
Minister Janaka Wakkumbura has sought the opinion of the Attorney General on a legal matter in which the tenure of the current local government members can be extended. There is nothing that the Attorney General can do. The law on this is very clear. By midnight today, by operation of law, the tenure of all these local government bodies end. The tenure of the current local government bodies cannot be extended even by passing an act in Parliament. The courts of our country have held that it can only be done at a referendum of the people.
Professor Charita Herath spoke about reforming the political culture in the country.
Kurunagala has been made into an area that creates politicians who engage in corruption and thuggery that has in turn made the people fed up of politics. We are now not afraid to say this. Send any prince from your castle to contest in Kurunagala. I must clearly state that we will not leave any room for such politics in Kurunagala. No matter what conspiracies they hatch inside their castles, the country is asking for a new political culture. The economy of this country needs to be restructured. The country is asking for a restructuring of our economy and the politics of this country. That is what the people said by chasing away consecutive presidents since 2015.
Now, drawing your attention away from the political stage, 2 minor tremors were reported from the Palatupana area in Kirinda and Thimbiriweba area in Gomarankadewala. Ajit Prema, the acting director of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau, stated that the related tremors have been recorded in all seismometers installed in the country. There was a minor tremor in the Thimbiriweba area of Gomarankadewala, Trincomalee today around 3:30 am. Geological Survey and Mines Bureau stated that its magnitude was 3 units. The people of Gomarankadewala had felt these tremors this morning.
පාන්දර ලොකු සද්දයක් ඇහුණා මට. නැගිටලා බලනකොට 3:31 වෙලා හරියටම. ඒකෙන් පස්සේ තා පොඩි 4ක් මට ඇහුණා. මෝටාර එකක් ගහන විදිහට වගේ සූස් ගාලා සද්දයක් ආවා. විනාඩි 3-4ක කාල සීමාවක්ම ඒ සද්දේ ඇහිගෙනම ගියා.
මොකද්ද කියලා දන්නා ගෙවල් වල දොරවලුත් එකම උඩුවවෙම අරම ඔක්කොම හෙලවුණා. වහලේ නිකන් කුළු කැට නිකන් වැලි ගහනවා වගේ සද්දෙත් ඇහුණා.
Another earthquake occurred in the Paltupana area of Kirinda and Hajiar areas. A magnitude of this tremor, which occurred at 6:46 p.m. yesterday, was recorded at magnitude 2.6.
මම පොල් ගාගෙන හිටියේ කුස්සියේ ඉන්නකොට ඩෝං ගාලා සද්දයක් අහුණා එකපාරටම ඊට පස්සේ මම පොල් ගාන එකත් නතර කරලාවිලා පොඩ්ඩක් එළියට බැහැලා බැලුවා බැලිනා මේ කට්ටිය කියනවා භූචලනයක් වුණයි කියලා
ගොඩක් කට්ටිය ඉතින් ගොරවනවා කියලා අර මේ ඇතුලේ හිටිය කට්ටිය තමයි මේ අර මේ බඩු හෙලනකොට හිතලා තියෙන භූමිකම්පයක් කියලා එළියට බැස්ස මේ කට්ටිය තේරුම
මොකද්ද කියලා කියන්න දන්නේ නැහැ මම අනික් කට්ටිය කියනවාම කියනවා එහෙම වුණාලු මොකද්ද දන්නේ නැතිලු.
Geologists point out that these tremors have been caused by changes in the inactive tectonic plates in Sri Lanka.
When we look at today's quakes in Gomarangkadavala and Kirinda, they are tremors that occur along those plate boundaries. Tremors might occur along these plate boundaries in the future as well. These plate boundaries extend beyond Sri Lanka through Kirinda. Tremors might take place in Bellavaya as well. They might also occur in Buttala and Bibila. When you go up the plate boundary, tremors might have also occurred in the Madroya Forest Reserve. We wouldn't know about them. These tremors won't turn out to be massive earthquakes because these plate boundaries have been inactive. When tremors occur along these boundaries, they are recorded below magnitude 3 on the Richter scale. There is no room for a large-scale earthquake to take place along these boundaries.
In addition to today's and yesterday's tremors were reported from several places in the island last February. Earthquakes of magnitude 3 units and magnitude 3.5 were reported from Vallavaya and Buttal areas on the 10th of February. On the 11th of February, another tremor of magnitude 2.3 was reported from Vallavaya. Between 8:45 am and 9 am, several tremors occurred in the Unavatuna area in Buttala on the 12th of February. On the 22nd of February, several more tremors were reported in the areas of Buttala, Palvatta, Anapallama and Vallavaya. They were recorded as magnitude 3 and 3.5. Meanwhile, in the last month or so, many tremors were reported in a number of incidents in the country related to friction in the Indo-Australian plate, of which Sri Lanka is a part of. Now, the third generator of the Norachole power plant broke down this afternoon.
Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijayasekar in a tweet said that Unit 3 was due to undergo major overhaul maintenance in April. He added that to ensure an uninterrupted power supply, CEB-owned diesel and fuel oil power plants will be used and that there will be no power cuts due to the breakdown. The Norachole power plant, built by the Chinese company CMEC at a cost of $1.35 billion, has a total of 3 generators. Each generator at the power plant generates 300 megawatts and the power plant adds a total of 900 megawatts to the national grid. However, since power to run the power plant is also generated from these generators, the Norachole power plant only adds 810 megawatts to the national grid. After the third generator broke down, now the power plant only adds 540 megawatts to the national grid. The CEB said that it would take about 5 days for the generator to be restarted. This power plant generates 45% of the power requirement in Sri Lanka. However, generators at the Norachole power plant have been breaking down on multiple occasions. On one occasion, Chinese engineers came down to the country to renovate the power plant. However, even after that, the generators at the power plant continued to break down. When the power plant suddenly broke like this in the past, an uninterrupted supply of power was provided by purchasing emergency power. Is there an invisible hand behind the constant breakdowns of generators at the Norachole power plant?
News First with the people.
Let's now cross over to a short commercial break. And on the other side, we have a very special story where 2 female MMA fighters took to the ring for the first time in Sri Lanka. Stay tuned for the details.
News First. Main sponsor.
23% for 2 months, 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD. A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD. 23% for 2 months, 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
And welcome back to the news. The Federation of University Teachers Association says that they will not call off their trade union action until their demands are met.
As university lecturers, we view this as a very bad situation for the country. We want to inform the government that we are ready to start work immediately as soon as we receive a viable and credible solution from the government. The Presidential Secretariat had previously informed us that we will be given a meeting with the President before the 22nd of this month. We have informed the Secretary to the President to schedule this meeting before the 22nd. We don't want to waste our time in prolonged discussions. We want a clear solution. Without a permanent and clear solution, we do not see a reason to call off our trade union action at this point of time.
Last week, the largest capacity crawler crane in Sri Lanka was unloaded at the Hambantota International Port.
The crane, with a 750-ton lifting capacity, will be initially used for Hiruras wind power project in Mannar. The German-built Liebherr brand crane was being used in Japan and has now been imported to Sri Lanka for civil projects. The crawler crane, which consisted of 1,000 tons of components, was unloaded by HIP within a day. The cargo was then transferred to 42 trucks, which took the equipment by road in 2 days to the project site in Mannar for assembling.
36,000 metric tons of TSP fertilizer was donated by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization with the financial support of US aid to Sri Lankan farmers earlier today.
Several attendees, including US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung and Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira, participated in the event.
The farmers, and especially those of you who are here today, I know you're working hard to maximize rice production under very difficult circumstances. And the United States is committed to assisting you. In the coming weeks, 36,000 metric tons of triple superphosphate, TSP, will be distributed free of charge to all paddy farmers in the entire country, more than 1 million farmers. This brings the total USAID-funded fertilizer, TSP, and urea procured through FAO to over 45,000 metric tons. The U.S. has provided over $270 million in new assistance and loans for small businesses over the past year, and we remain committed to standing by the Sri Lankan people.
Minister Jeevan Thondaman, issuing a statement, questioned the source of funding for the Samagi Jana Balavega's project to donate buses to schools.
In his statement, Minister Thondaman says the opposition party who are raising slogans like eradication of corruption should clarify from where the funding for the purchase of these buses come from. He added that the cost of a bus is about 5 million rupees and so far 47 buses have been donated. The minister questions as to where the 235 million rupees required for the project came from. In his statement, Minister Jeevan Thondaman says, quote unquote, I questioned on how the money came in because they talk about transparency. That is why I have insisted on transparency in the donation of buses as well.
Sri Lanka's Indian community celebrated the Holi festival in Mount Lavinia today.
A group including India's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle, participated at the Holi festival event held in Mount Lavinia on Saturday.
Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested on Tuesday and has urged his supporters to launch mass protests. However, his lawyer said there had been no communication from law enforcement and the former president's post was based on media reports.
Prosecutors have been looking at a possible indictment of Trump. Reports say it could come next week. If he is indicted, it would be the first criminal case ever brought against a former US president. This case focuses on alleged hush money on Trump's behalf by his lawyer to adult actress Stormy Daniels prior to the 2016 presidential election. It is one of several cases in which the 76-year-old is currently being investigated, although he has not yet been charged in any and denies wrongdoing in each. Trump has pledged to continue his campaign to become the Republican nominee in the 2024 presidential election election, even if he's indicted.
As we teased earlier, the first ever women's MMA bout in Sri Lanka took place yesterday at the Royal MAS Arena.
Local MMA fighters Murangi Kulasekara and Divya Obesekara participated in the first ever women's mixed martial arts fight at season 7 of the Ceylon Fighting Championship yesterday. After 3 hard rounds, Murangi Kulasekara defeated Divya Obesekara via split decision. Both fighters spoke to Newsfirst after their bout.
ගොඩාක් සතුටුයි මේ මං වගේම මගේ අනිත් ෆයිටත් හොඳට ෆයිට් කරා මේ ජයග්‍රහණය ලැබීම ගැන මට ගොඩාක් සතුටුයි.
What do you think about your performance?
I think there's a few things that I can work on, but I'm happy that I managed to go all 3 rounds. Stamina was there, it was good. Hopefully next time I'm gonna be here again for this fight.
So you don't plan on taking a break, you plan on being an active fighter?
Most certainly. You will see me at next CFC for sure.
Fantastic. You know, you and your opponent kind of paved the way for other female fighters in Sri Lanka to take part and be active in this game. What do you have to say about that?
So what I would say to other girl fighters is, even she was, I think she's from Kandy if I'm not mistaken, you know, there are fighters out there that, you know, from outstation as well. So I guess this is a good opener for them to, you know, also come into Colombo and go at CFC as well.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.